Hyojin, aka Squizzy, is a YouTube animator known for, well, their animations. They've had a long internet career thus far, and a past that a lot of people don't really know about. I ain't talking about no small issues either, I'm talking about some serious shit that they've done and managed to sneak their way out of. We already know about the recent controversy surrounding their name, but before we go into that, we must first take a look at their old controversies going all the way back to 2019. On June 6, 2019, YouTuber Lanza would be accused of abusing his girlfriend Che. While he came out with proof showing that this was a libel and slander campaign against him in a video and was completely fine, one of the people who jumped on the bandwagon at first was Hyojin. Now you may think they were just sticking up for their friend Che after reading this awful twit longer on her boyfriend, but a leaked message would give a much bigger insight on their involvement. It doesn't take much to put two and two together here. It's clear they had prior knowledge of the document coming out and had ill intentions and wanted to ruin Lanza's life. Along with the leaked message coming out was allegations of animal abuse, making them look even worse. Also around this time, Hyojin was exposed for saying the gamer word one too many times, and in a livestream dated February 12, 2017, has said she hated them live on her friend's stream.
What are you fucking black ass?
Hyojin! Not only this, people will end up finding her NSFW Twitter account containing NSFW drawings of other YouTubers and saw that one of the people they drew was 16 years old at the time. Suddenly the public wasn't on their side anymore, and instead of apologizing for the blatant malice in that leaked message, they doubled down in Twitter in a post defending themselves. The post is kinda half doubling down, half deflecting a little bit, basically saying that, well, if you heard your friend was in trouble, wouldn't you want to help them? But again, that message and that leaked DM does not make him look good whatsoever. After this Twitter post came out, they didn't make a whole document going over everything else against them. It doesn't mention Lanza's name at all and is them shifting the argument around, though it does give the statement from another person saying that the animal abuse allegations was a misinterpretation of an event that happened. They say the message saying the N-word wasn't them, but given that stream clip exists, it's definitely likely it was and they're just trying to sneak their way out of this one. As far as the NSFW drawing goes, they said all the people requested themselves to be drawn and that the characters are depicted as 18+, not outright denying that she knew the person was 16 or not, but kinda skirting around that a little bit. It will come out later, however, that Hyojin drew YouTuber Kavos in a picture despite him never asking, and many they lied about that little detail in the document. Around this time, they were confirmed to be dating YouTuber Punkduck after breaking up with Pirate Cynical. Also something about cheating on him, but these seem to be just rumors started by I'm Alex as far as I can tell, and after the mounting pressure against them, they would threaten suicide, with Punkduck coming to their defense indirectly confirming the attempt did happen. Hyojin would then go to a mental ward for a hot minute before being released at an undisclosed time. I also found a Reddit post claiming that Hyojin did apologize for the Lanza slander in a livestream on September 9, 2019, but the link leads to nothing now, and I couldn't find a copy anywhere for the life of me to show y'all, so it is what it is. The comments on the post seem to deduce that it was mostly dismissive rather than a real genuine apology from them, however, so take that however you like. Now it's pretty clear that Hyojin has had a tumultuous internet career thus far, with 2019 being their worst year by far for them publicly. We already know that they had ill intents ruining Lanza's life, and the other stuff stacked against them just fueled the fire more. Since all that went down, however, they had been out of controversy from the public eye for about 3 whole years. That is, until recently. On July 19th, Punkduck will come out with a statement on Twitter about his time dating Hyojin. The statement opens up with him explaining that this is all about his time dating them for around 2.5 years, and how he reached a boiling point and came out with this after seeing them constantly everywhere on YouTube and Twitter, and finally had to get everything off his chest. He says that everything started off like any normal relationship for the first 6 months, but that Hyojin had a habit of redirecting anger towards him, but he was promised that kind of stuff would stop. They would constantly argue over materialistic things, mainly surrounding how he dresses, and Hyojin telling him that he needs to look nicer in order not to embarrass them in public. Their arguments would always somehow end up with Punkduck being the bad guy, and how it became a circle of either him apologizing for a general mistake, or Hyojin manipulating things in order to shift the blame back on himself. It was a constant cycle, and things started to get out of control after months of it happening. Things would culminate during a visit in March 2020, when Hyojin had to basically immediately start finding a way back home to Australia as the pandemic started to ruin everybody's lives around the world. Given that those times were very stressful, Punkduck was once again relegated to an emotional punching bag by them, and any help he tried to give would result in yelling. Eventually, after being called fucking useless by Hyojin, Punkduck would end up going downstairs to make dinner while they streamed for money in their room to buy a plane ticket to get home. Punk Duck's mom would catch wind of the reason behind their giant argument, and thinking Hyojin was some poor college kid and not a loaded social media influencer, offered to pay for the flight, in which Hyojin immediately accepted. Needless to say, this made Punk Duck feel, in his own words, extremely gross, and he had to basically beg Hyojin to pay them back for a whole nother year. He would reminisce on another shitty experience with Hyojin in 2019 after she got mad at him for having a migraine and feeling sick, but this was nothing compared to what happens next. New Year's 2020 would roll around, and so Punk Duck flew to Australia to visit Hyojin and hang out with their family. As he was struggling to set up a tent at the park to look at some fireworks, Hyojin would start to berate him in front of a bunch of people while she did nothing to help him out, only sitting around instead. A few days later, on January 3rd, Hyojin would get an early press copy of a video game and needed some help installing it. The process was much more of a pain in the ass and stressful than he expected, and so Hyojin started to use Punch Duck as an emotional punching bag once more, resulting in a nasty argument between the two. As Punk Duck is sitting aside, Hyojin would get in a Discord call and act as if nothing was happening with her friends, and in disbelief he asks her if this is actually happening in real time, in which Hyojin responds by straight up hitting him. In a panic after realizing this toxic relationship is now physical, he phones a friend to help him get out of the household as soon as he can. The friend calls an ambulance and Uber over, and so Punk Duck starts to gather all his stuff to leave. Hyojin would walk in on this, and once putting things together in their head, proceeded to grab a knife and threaten both him and themselves with it. He gets the knife out of their hands, and after a couple of choice words by Hyojin's mother, alluding to the fact that she's done this before, the police arrive, take Hyojin away, and he gets in the Uber to his friend's house. He struggles to put the pieces together in his head at the friend's house, and Hyojin would eventually text him saying that they're officially through. He would end up apologizing to them, buy them an Uber, and through lots of gaslighting by them, writes a statement saying he doesn't want them to get a criminal record for their acts, along with ultimately getting back with them. Punk Duck would reminisce how constantly dealing with this was some of the worst stuff he's ever dealt with, and that Hyojin was putting him through a constant cycle of mental mind games since he started dating them. At one point, they would break up with him after he didn't berate someone they wanted him to, use his car accident against him in public, and even bring up old friends of his that had passed away just to get a rise out of him. Some real sociopath type behavior. The last year of their relationship was Hyojin constantly reminding him to be with him and pulling him away from some of his friends simply because he didn't want to hang out with them 24/7. Fall 2021 would roll about, and he would look for any way to get out of this cycle because it had gotten to the point where he didn't know what they would do to him or themselves if he stepped out of line, and he didn't want to deal with that stress anymore. He was able to fully break up with them, saying that the current world just doesn't let them visit easily anymore. They would get in touch in a Discord server a few months later, and they would start to trash him once again once they caught wind of others hearing about what he went through when dating them. The rest of the document is Hyojin trying to gaslight him, saying they got the proper help, but he doesn't believe any of it, as they stated during their relationship they lied about getting help in order to make him feel better. Punk Duck would leave things off with a message about not doing this for clout, for people to seek help in an abusive relationship, and a link to messages between the two of them. The first batch of messages takes place a little after Hyojin was released from police custody, and it's full of manipulation from them, including making him buy an Uber like he mentioned beforehand. It's extremely clear to see in these messages that Hyojin is good at manipulation and playing victim throughout the entire instance, saying how it's all his fault, how he has no spine, saying he doesn't love them. All classic examples of emotional manipulation. Hyojin goes on how they will now have a criminal record after this ordeal and how it will affect their life in the long term now. Not really giving a shit how this affected Punk Duck, but only themselves. He even includes the messages Hyojin sent him on Discord after they caught wind he was telling others about his experience in dating them, and pretty much tries a sad attempt at apologizing, including the line, "I'm sorry for hitting you over nothing," purposefully downplaying what they did and trying to make Punk Duck feel like he was overreacting during that situation. Yeah, this situation really is as big as it seems. Those texts definitely show how manipulative Hyojin is and how far they're willing to go to push the blame onto others for their own actions. It's actually insane. I've seen people like this before, and while it's easy to pick them apart in a sound state of mind, given how emotionally charged the past few days for them had been, it was very easy for Hyojin to pull this stuff off. That Discord message reeks of it too. The assholes saying whatever they can to get them in the heat off their back because they know the dirt they have is legitimate, and it usually goes down to downplaying everything, hence the whole "I'm sorry for hitting you over nothing" statement. Hyojin has been on lockdown mode ever since, losing subscribers at a crazy rate and nuking their Patreon. Whether they fess up to this on a public level remains to be seen, but in the meantime the ball is officially in their court now. What do you guys think about this current situation surrounding Hyojin? It's clear they're a manipulative person at heart, and seeing the stuff that went down in 2019 only confirmed that further for me. I will be covering any response they make if they ever make one, so stay tuned for that, but in the meantime, make sure to tell me your opinions in the comments below. Thank you for watching today's video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, with all of that out of the way, I will see you guys later.